Check, check. This is a microphone check. Aloha. We are 1 minute away from going live. So stand by. Just if you could, make sure you're in a quiet environment with no extra sound in the background. We're already live streaming on YouTube and looks like Instagram. I'm going to go live right now. Let me put in my headphones. It is time. Aloha. You are listening to KPMW Maui Mix 105.5 FM on your radio dial, your Pinoy hit station, Puso ng Pilipino, the heart of the Filipino in Hawaii. Hali'i Miley. I am MC Shy Guy, aka Andrew, your host for the day, God willing. Let's open with another prayer today. Thank you, sweet Lord Jesus, for another beautiful day here in Kohabai Aina, the paradise, the pico, the belly button of the earth, the living waters, Hawaii, the living waters. Here we are. What a blessing to be here. What a blessing to have Keline Kahau, one of my favorite people in the whole world, a sister from another mister. She's here today and she will be sharing her stuff with us. Please bless this conversation, God. Bless everything that we are doing and let us be your vessels enacting your will on this mortal plane. With that, let's go into our disclaimer. Listen to this show at your own risk. The views and opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect those of KPMW, Maui Mix 105.5 FM founders, staff, family, friends, sisters, brothers, uncles, nephews, pets, or relatives, or the sponsors. The sponsors have nothing to do with what we're saying here today. We're here just to try to have fun, to inspire, unless prohibited by law. And we're just here to have fun. You might get offended by some of the things that we talk about. That's not our intention. We're just here trying to learn from each other to exchange ideas on this Idea Exchange platform. And yeah, with that, I'm going to give a little introduction. Oh, yeah, all rights reserved in perpetuity, by the way. That's part of the disclaimer, guys. Yeah, bear with me. I'm new to this whole MC radio thing, so I'm just having fun. I got Keline Kahau. I first met her when I started this Freedom TV thingy, trying to figure out who's who and interview different political candidates. She was running for governor of Hawaii at the time. I think that was back in 2022. Yep.
Yes, correct,
And yeah, Kalina, you're a federal postal judge, right? Like you
yes.
and yeah, you've got quite an amazing background actually that I'm not really qualified to talk about too much. So maybe it's good if you can kind of introduce yourself for the people who've never heard of you.
Aloha, I'm Kit Kahau. I'm on the island of Oahu. I have many backgrounds, but one of my main backgrounds is I am a federal postal judge. What I do is contracts. I diagnose the contracts and take out the loopholes from that contracts by a mathematical interface called quantum mathematicals. So what we do is like how people would color by numbers. I do it with words. I utilize a quantum numbering system to, to take out the loopholes from the contracts to make it more factual. That way, no one gets caught up with something bad in their hands, like mortgages. Oh, did I say that? Like banking mortgages.
Mm.
But I also do have a master's degree in business and computer networking. I am still going to school right now. I'm trying to help the people of the land to get out of their trauma. So I'm trying to become a counselor on top of that. But that's what I'm doing at this time.
Fantastic. So quantum, I didn't even have that concept before. I know we've talked about, is it Parsi or Farsi syntax?
It's it's quantum. It's Parse syntax grammar. So what that is you take out all of the words that are fillers. They call them filler words, like words that are ongoing, like is, ours, and all of those filler words that keep a sentence running on. You take most of those out, and you utilize the numbering system that was created for that, and then you change it with taking out the loopholes within the contents of your contract, and then you'll see more of the factual, not just truth, but factual. You have to remember, truth is what we understand or what
Mm.
we be. Facts is what is actually the on the document. Yeah, but
So I
you
can
can't.
believe that mankind went to the moon, but the fact might be different or
Yeah,
otherwise.
yeah, yeah.
Right,
Yes,
right. Okay.
it's very different. You either went there or you didn't.
So, yeah, for the folks who keep tuning into this weekly thing, Jeffrey Steven, actually, who I think you met in the past, he was the host for about 4 years before moving overseas. And then later he invited me on, and we would often talk about matters of law, facts and findings of history. So it's another great opportunity for me to be able to learn from you now on this public platform, because having like met you in person and interviewed you multiple times, I've been able to learn a lot about how the legal system works. And you keep mentioning the word contract. And for the folks who are not aware of that, contract is law and law is contract. So
Correct.
when you get a speeding ticket, when they offer you that ticket, that's a contract offer.
Contract offer. Yes. So okay. So let's dive into contracts. Contracts are your birth certificate, um, a marriage certificate, social security card, adhesion contracts. We call them
Mm.
contracts. We even know that they're contracts.
Just got stuck to you. Like a life insurance contract is adhesion. You don't get to negotiate the terms at all. It's just take it or leave it. But with a birth
Yeah. Well.
certificate, it's take it because you're a baby, you don't know.
Yes. Yeah. So like life insurance is you can kind of play with it. Yeah. You, now you can. Before you couldn't. But like contracts, you don't even understand their contracts. Birth certificates, marriage certificates, death certificates, social security cards, things of those matters where it's only one party, but it's contracts are two parties, yeah, two or more
Mm.
parties come together and agreeing. That's a contract. That's a full blown contract, yeah.
Right. Like
And
you have to have like an understanding, a meeting of the minds in order for it to be a lawful contract, right?
yes, and the reason why I say that I use the quantumatic mathematical interface for that with the numbering system is to close out the loopholes so that in law you can see and for factual purposes and corrections to see where actually each party stands, because that is where a lot of people get into trouble because oh now there's a loophole and it's normally for the opposite, which is corporations to go and dive into, where they'll leave you hanging with nothing. Or and it just and normally it just depends on what type of contract you're working with. I've done a lot of mortgage contracts where people don't understand the mortgage and they'll just sign it because they're happy to buy a house or get a house. Nothing wrong with buying a house, but something's wrong if you don't understand what you're signing, and that's the
Mm.
purpose.
Yeah, read the
Nothing
fine
wrong.
print.
You gotta, but they also have laws that the bankers must follow. They have to follow the law to give you clear understanding. Can be 100 pages, can be 5 pages, but they gotta go for each word, each bullet point, so that you understand what you're signing. And if they actually did that, I don't think you would sign it because part of that contract is you signing your life away, even if, and then you go into more contractings on top of that.
Yeah,
Yes.
maybe a more like on the ground example for a lot of folks. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that when you register your car with the DMV or with the state in the fine print, they convert your right to travel to a privilege, and that the state actually owns your car and can take it away.
So actually, when you register your vehicle, you're registering under their process as a contract. And yes, you're entering into a contract So it it turns your vehicle into a commercial um, property instead of a traveler's property. So unless you're driving with um, like a big bus, something that needs a CDL, that would be considered commercial. Every officer in every state knows this, and it's in their books because we have their books. Is we are travelers. If I'm just driving my kid to school or somebody to the grocery store, that is a traveler's. Or even going to the beach is a traveling. That's a traveler's vehicle. It's not commercial. But once you register it to the DMV, it becomes a contract, and it's not necessarily they own it. It's under commercial processing system. So that's why
Mm.
they can give you tickets. They can stop you because now you're under their jurisdiction. Yeah, it's like being on a military base, and the military owners or the personnel have that type of sticker that can come on and off the base, and but the military police that can police only those vehicles. Yeah,
Mm. They
so
can't like go off of the base and arrest some guy next like a block down
it,
the road.
it basically the same understanding when you do it in the state. They can, and even though the military, and I'm not trying to down on the military, I'm just giving you an example, but
Mm.
that's what it is the military police can only military, he can only stop the guys with those stickers. He cannot come off base and stop people on a state or city and county property. Yeah, but like for when those guys come off, yeah, they gotta make sure that they have all these stickers on their car. So even if they were driving unsafely on the road, yeah, or traveling unsafely on the road, they still are under contract because they're on the city and county road. Yeah, and so the police can stop them.
Yeah,
So,
and with
but
contracts, like you said, a lot of people they don't really realize that everyday life is surrounded by contracts. When I signed up my daughter for public school, they offered a contract to let her use a quote unquote free computer, but like in the fine print, it says that they are selling or giving away her data, which is like a personal, very personal thing, like as identifying as a fingerprint.
yes, they do that. So that's why I said you gotta read the fine print, look at it, understand it. That's why, like, if you borrow a computer from a school, even colleges, they do that. You don't want to use that for personal use. Yeah, you always want to use it for school
Well, and
use.
I don't even want to let my daughter give them that personal data. They know
Oh,
way too much about her with that.
of course, I understand that. You know, and that's a parent's. So now you gotta remember now, your daughter was born. You have a birth certificate from your daughter, no matter what state it is. That's a contract already.
Mm.
So once they step in, you have the contract. So, and what's happening today is a lot of stuff is they're taking those rights away because, they're not people really need to understand that they have a lot of things going for them and stop grumbling about what they don't have.
Mm.
And they need to start unifying together, and instead of saying I'm this, I'm that, and be humble, and stop being entitled, and learn together and work together in harmony, because right now that's what's hovering over their heads is a contract, a piece of paper that they don't even know how to break. They can rip it in half, but they got more copies. You gotta be able to break their contract code, and if you don't
Mm.
know, you gotta call me out and let me know. But you gotta basically you gotta understand those things.
So yeah,
But yeah,
to crack the code, not like to break a contract, but to break the fraud, because a lot of these contracts are actually fraudulent.
yeah. So basically, it's like, I'm very high and big on contracts. Yeah, even if it's verbal. If I tell you I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. That's a contract I made to you. Whether you're my child, family member, friend, or just someone I met. Yeah. I to do I'm gonna hold my word to it. That's a contract that we have to make sure that our rent is paid or mortgages are paid, something that is of value. Yeah. I'm gonna make sure it's paid. But before I make sure of that, I'm gonna make sure that I have full knowledge of what I'm signing. I'm not gonna sign something
Mm.
that's gonna that if I pay it in full, I'm gonna get penalized for it. So like there's some people in mortgages that have HOAs. So if you don't pay your HOA, which is association fees,
Mm.
they're
Homeowners
allowed
Association.
yes, they're allowed to foreclose on your home, and you could be like 20 years into your mortgage and never had a bad payment, but you're behind on HOA fees, maybe 6 months, you know,
Mm.
and because you're more worried about your mortgage and other things, right? But they can file and for 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 foreclosure.
Yeah, so then you don't really own the property if the
No,
homeowners mafia, I mean association. Because yeah, my mom had described this to me before as well. She's a real estate broker in multiple states, and I keep hearing these horror stories from HOAs, and it never made sense to me because I'm a true blue American, red-blooded American who is taught that we have freedom, and then
yeah,
I find out like I cannot paint polka dots or zebra stripes on my house, which to me it's like, well, it's my house. Oh no, you
so
can't build this. You need to get a permit for that. Like, whoa,
so
wait, actually,
so
yeah. Go ahead.
basically when you file for a mortgage and you get a home that has homeowners insurance, you're basically saying I'm okay with the homeowners insurance and their policies, right?
Mm,
You're okay with that, then you gotta follow that, and it shouldn't be a problem, right? So before you enter any contract, you shouldn't go into it and then go against the grain. That's basically what. So in other words, it's basically if you don't want that contract, then just say no, even though you want the house. Yeah.
mm,
So find something else. But HOAs were created to keep things in order, to make things nice, to help the homeowners, be more sufficient with trash, gardens, good hygiene in the community, make it look livable and
yeah, fair
not
enough.
fair, but they shouldn't be able to have the authority to foreclose on your home. I fought that in court many times, and some of them they use that as a threat tactic just to get their because they're a business, yeah,
Right.
and just to get their because you got to remember now you pay for the people to clean your lawn, you pay for the people to come and make sure that your pavement is good, all of those things, yeah.
Yeah.
You come and pay for those things, and some of these guys are only like $25, some guy, and it depends on the neighborhood. Some is 100, you know some don't go more than $100. I haven't seen that, you know but and the less ones are like maybe $25 a month. So it shouldn't be too bad. Yeah. But the authority of having association be able to foreclose on your house is a tactic of them um strong arming homeowners to pay. Yeah.
Mm,
So basically it's you gotta have the knowledge of don't just sign the contract because you're excited you got the house. Be excited that I'm learning what this mortgage is. I don't want this house. I'm going to keep looking. But if
Mm.
you go, so in other words, if you accept the house, you accept the HOA and their policies, you must abide by it because you're coming into a contract. And everybody has a contract. If you got a dollar bill on you, that's a contract right there.
Yes. Yeah, that's not it doesn't say money on it. What does it say? Debt note or legal tender?
That legal tender. So it's like I'm gonna give you something and you're gonna give me in return. You know, basically that is it's so credit. It's like credit, but in your hand. You know,
Mm. Yeah, because we used to be on the gold standard, and actually, Cecile, Mrs. Piros, the owner of the station, is often talking about this vision that we might get back onto a gold standard pretty soon.
which I think is really good. I really think it's really good because then it keeps everything straight with every country, not just the United States, with every country, because a lot of them, if you think about it, no matter what's going on right now, always gonna there's always gonna be a tug of war because it's change.
Mm,
Kind of change you're going through, there's always gonna be a tug of war because you're conditioned into this fashion, and now you gotta change into something else that may just be better, or we don't know, right? And that's where
right.
the sacrifice comes in. So if you thought that everybody would has because if every country has their own money system or legal tender system.
Yeah.
But if everybody was to be on hard minerals or something that they could, you know, produce like gold, I think that would be good because there was times when America flew to a country and they couldn't leave unless it was in gold. Yeah. So
Mm,
there's research on that, and it's true research. So they had to pay it. They couldn't pay in their U.S. dollars, no, because some of the, you know, some countries is they won't take it. It's because of their belief system. Yeah, because you figure some places are backed by fishing, some places are backed by silver, some places are backed by gold. So even if they have that paper money, everything is backed by something of substance. Yeah, and right now, I don't. As far as the U.S. is the legal tender is backed up, it's no longer by gold like it used to be or silver.
mm.
Yeah. So
Yeah, when the Federal Reserve was created, which I guess
yeah,
it's now being abolished. Is that right?
correct. So I'm right now, even though I'm still in practice of what I do. I just haven't been out there like I used to. I'm just watching and the reason why I'm watching is because you know I go by the spirit, and my
Mm,
spirit tells me to just sit and watch and prepare. Yeah, I'm sort of like an organizing person. I like to organize, be structured. So when it's time to rise, I have all my ducks in order,
yes.
you know. So right now, I haven't been out there doing a lot of stuff, but I'm also being prepared. I'm watching how everybody handles their emotional intelligence, how they react to each other. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, and it's very ugly. It's very ugly. Nobody knows how to be kind. Everyone knows how to show off their egos, their pride, and you know to be entitled. You know,
Mm,
and just be humble and be kind and help the other person. That's how I look at things. And yeah, we have to do things with discernment. You know, discernment is a very big thing, but we have to. It's like, for instance, when I decided to run, governor wasn't my first time that I ran. I ran in District 40, for the time. That was Pro City, and that was
That
during
was
the COVID.
that was before you ran for governor, or
Yeah,
what?
before I ran for
What
governor,
were you running for? Sorry, I couldn't
it,
hear.
it was Pro City district rep for Pro City,
Okay.
and in that area, and that was in 2020, and in that era, what happened was I wanted to see how Insight actually operates or how everybody would operate. And
Mm.
so I basically just did it just for fun to see to throw in a wrench because the place that I lived in was highly Democrat, but eh, I did it anyway because I was helping the community anyway. So, you know, I learned certain things that were very um, disturbing to me. I mean, corruption is very real and corruption is very high. And that was just one of the places. And, God puts you in places for you to learn and to understand and get
Mm.
skilled about. And so that's what I did. And, we weren't, we had the lockdowns. We weren't able to go out and campaign, none of those things. And in my campaign, I didn't have a lot of money, but I had a lot of foot soldiers that would go out and knock on the doors and just put things on because we were allowed to as candidates, yeah,
Yeah.
within the area. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was good to learn how things operated, and then the following um,
But
election came.
why did you decide to run for office? What made you decide, like, okay, I'm gonna just get out there? I mean, did you have any idea that people would come and try to make your life very difficult when you run for office?
Well, no matter what you do, people will come and make your life difficult. I don't care
Yeah,
where you.
that's a good point.
But um, the well, a lot of it was basically I wanted to help the people more, but I needed to understand certain areas because being in the judicial system, you learn a lot, but you want to get to the Capitol and the elections commissions, and you want to get into certain different other places. It's like they act like they belong to each other, but they don't talk to each other. They don't know what
Mm.
each other. So I wanted to be that piece where I can get into in between the nooks and crannies and learn. It was basically I didn't expect to win because that wasn't my expectations. My expectations was to actually get to know the people better, get to know my get to know the state better as far as what they're actually doing or trying to do or portray that what they're doing, and just to be get out there. And at the time I was pushing the Aloha Aina party at that time.
Right.
There was, and that was a big belief of mine because that's where um, a lot of our people, our Kanaka people, had done the Aloha Aina party because they pushed back during the plebiscite during the time of our overthrow.
Yeah, for the
And
people who don't know, Kanaka Maoli is Olelo Hawaii, the Hawaiian language for real man or real person, which
for real
is
people
real
with
people, which
with the
is
blood of ancestors.
what quote unquote native Hawaiians are called. Like, we don't call them native Hawaiians, we call them Kanaka. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
thank you, Keline, for being one of my kumu, one of my teachers, teaching me that. I think it's important when you come to somebody's country, you learn their language and learn
oh
their culture and their history.
I mean, anywhere you go, you wanna kind of learn what's going on. But that's why I did it. For me is just because I'm Hawaiian, I have other nationalities within me,
Mm.
and so does my children. So you cannot just be of one, and we have to always remember that our king, our mo'i, in when people were in danger of from their nation, he took them in, and they became subjects of our kingdom. They weren't called Hawaiians, you know, or Kanakamali, they were called a Kama'aina. So, but they were
Mm.
part of our nation, but they still had responsibilities or kuleana that they needed to do, and so they became part of the nation. And so, it's really interesting for people to identify themselves as only Kanakamali when and discard the other races, because I tell you right now, if that never happened, if our king was so solely on just his people, which he was, but not wanting to, because we were like Switzerland, like Netherlands, a friendly place, yeah,
Mm. A neutral.
a neutral country, and people could come and be safe, and nobody could do harm. They weren't supposed to. That's the treaties that were out there.
Yeah, the Hawaiian Kingdom was freeing slaves upon arrival at that time. Is
Yes,
that right?
yes, yes. And some of my families, like I have Japanese, I got Chinese, I have German, and I have Irish. And some of my families came from those lands. So, and freeing themselves from what was going on in within their country, and so that's what happened to my family, and I mean I can go on, but there's many of people like myself that had families come over, and were free from just our king. So there's a lot of misunderstandings as far as the kingdom and how it's portrayed nowadays, and that's kind of like why I kind of sit back and I just watch. And going back to your question as why I put myself there in a candidate position, and I got a lot of kickback for doing that because people thought that I didn't know, that I was confused. Yeah, but people don't understand that my position as a federal postal judge, I have to be in the middle. I don't choose a side. Yeah, I have to be neutral. I'm in the middle, and I don't choose a side. I have to look and watch and see what's going on. Invest. It's like, it's being a judge. It's investigating the evidence. And so basically, what I wanted to do was, I wanted to learn, why people don't want to vote. One, what is so crooked about voting? Yeah. So that's where I got close to the
Mm.
election commission. And then, and another one was what's going on in the Capitol.
So
So I
yeah, let me unpack that a little bit for the folks who might not understand, because you just said, why don't people want to vote? I think a lot of the listeners of KPMW, Maui Mix FM 105.5 here, I think a lot of them actually vote. But what you were talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, is a lot of the Kanaka Maoli, a lot of the Hawaiians don't vote in the American system. I'm kind of filling in the gaps myself here. I think a lot of them believe that voting in a what they consider to be a fake system would be like an insult to their ancestors.
well, actually, in my first run as a candidate for Pro City, it wasn't. It was every race that didn't want to vote. It didn't matter what type of Polynesian you were or who you were, where you were from. Like this one guy, he's he was born in the continent, came to Hawaii militarily, yeah, and grew up here. But he realized that Hawaii was so corrupt that he didn't even want to vote, and he wasn't even Hawaiian. He wasn't even
Mm.
Hawaiian. So there was many people. It wasn't just the Polynesian race, or
Mm.
it was many of them that saw different things within. So, but this is my solution, yeah. You know, um, you have you have categories, and part of those categories is you either do something, say something and do it, or if you see it and you do nothing, then it's not gonna. the problem is not going to be solved,
Yeah, we're
right?
part of the problem if we just watch the
And
problem
so
happening.
if you're gonna not vote, you're part of the problem. So and as far as voting goes, Hawaii is a very unique uh, place. And when I say unique, I mean like it's very unique. Our governor is the has when we got when the overthrow happened, there was like different um different things that happened. So during the time of the overthrow, we had um shoot, my mind just went blank, but all the way to the territory, everything the kuleana of the king went
Mm.
to the governor. So he has a lot of control.
Right. Out of 50 states,
Out of
Hawaii's governor has more power than any other
power.
governor.
And so I kind of like was like, wait a minute, hold on. I seen this list before, and that was from during the time of our kingdom. Now, how can that happen, right? So, for me, and I also at the time, and I believe I'm still a member of um what is that? The American um oh my goodness,
The General Assembly, or
the Assembly. Thank you.
I'm psychic. I know what you're thinking.
You know, but you see, the reason why I became part of that was because I also to believe in certain things. Yeah,
Mm.
it coincides with a lot of what Hawaii believes, a lot of what different places believe. Yeah, like our Bill of Rights, the Constitution, all of those
Mm.
part of what we as people in Hawaii believe. So as I'm learning also, and I did it to also learn more and to get other perspectives, basically.
Mm. And you're,
And
let me add in real quick. You are right. I didn't vote until 2020 because I thought it was fake, and then I found out I was right.
well, it is fake. You know, it's so fake to a point where like, but every person matters. Every
Yes,
person matters.
we can
And no
we
matter
can really hoolie the system by
it,
standing all on one area.
so okay, so now I'm a candidate. I'm finding out, you know, and I didn't really think I would have people wanting me to at least push me to win because I was getting donations. They were making me banners, shirts, everything. And so like, okay, then we're gonna go out, sign way. We're gonna do all of this, and I mean, like, I didn't ask for that. People just
Mm.
came, and it was nice, but they were the ones that pushed me to run for governor. And I was like, nah, they said just throw it in, throw it in. So I had to pray about it because that wasn't really my goal. My goal was to learn about this, and because it was during COVID, I was very much against what they were oppressing our people with.
Yeah, telling
And
us that mandates were laws.
uh,
That's when I started my journey of learning all this stuff.
and was like, wait a minute, hold on, I'm gonna give you an education trip right here, and that's why Reckonwall did not care for me. OGI, a lot of these judges did not care for me, but there was a few judges that understood or had the knowledge of what I was saying.
Mm. Oh,
Because
and can you break down real quick the difference between a federal postal judge and like an
well,
administrative clerk? We have a lot of
so
judges here that think they're
a federal
judges
post,
but are clerks.
so the federal postal judge is I'm part of the postal union on the I I'm like a liaison for them, but I'm on the side in their rulings. Yeah. So if anything comes about, you don't go to the federal district court. Yeah.
Mm.
It's a universal judgment. Yeah. So we like I said, we deal with contracts, we deal with countries. We don't deal with cities or small things.
So like contracts between like the US and Canada want to do a trade deal, those
Yes.
contracts are
Yeah.
processed and judged by federal postal judges.
Yeah. And people don't realize that they don't realize from the time of 1776, which was a lot of those documents were created, the judgments were already done. Like we had these people in place, and even our king in Hawaii was a federal postal judge.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and people might not understand this, but everything or like it, but everything comes from that. Your masons, your um, your different societies come from that. Yeah, but it's because based on your knowledge, it's based on what you're doing for humanity. Everything is a humanitarian um, situation and to push for for the betterment of people. Yeah.
That's what it was designed to be, at least.
Yeah, that's what it was designed to be. So, if there's a disagreement, so like one of our disagreements that I have with the state is, and the military is, they're not following their treaty. Yeah,
Mm, yeah.
and part of their treaty is they are trustees. We are the beneficiaries. So if I speak and I say we need this, they have to not take it into consideration. They have to move and do it.
Mm,
All they're doing is all they're doing is operations. They're not the boss. You gotta understand what a trust is and who controls it. Actually, the beneficiary controls it, not the beneficiary, but the trustees are the ones now to make things happen for us. If they're stealing from the trust, they're wrong, and that's what's happening right now. It's the same thing over and over. So that's why a lot of our lahui, they need to start learning their identity. They need to start understanding what and who, where they come from, and stop doing the crabs in the bucket issue. Because, and what I mean by that is they put, no matter if one person gets good at something, somebody's always pulling them down.
mm,
No, nobody's willing to say, hey, stop, they're doing good. Let them do that, because everybody has a purpose to do something. It's
mm.
like a big picture with all these little puzzles in it, and everybody's a puzzle. But if you don't come together, you're not going to see what the picture looks like.
Mm.
You know,
So you're seeing a lot of that on the ground, I think, on Oahu with people kind of pulling each other down. We've had like some
all over.
severe teen violence and like things like you're really like facing it with the social work that you're doing. Maybe you want to
Yeah.
kind of break down a little bit for the
So
folks who are haven't heard of what you're doing over there.
so right now, so I did the governance. My husband, during that time, he just passed away in 2024, and I decided to like take a back seat and just watch, because Spirit told me just chill out and take a back seat, finish up whatever contracts you got, and just take a back seat and watch and gather your research. And that's what I've been doing. So I work with a lot of ex convicts from the federal side, and one of them wanted to work with at risk youth. And the reason for that was, so we started a nonprofit called Workers Against Recidivism Rate, known as Waters,
So
WATR.
recidivism is like when people are priced out of paradise and leave or
No,
they
no,
quit or what
no.
what is that?
Is a revolving door when they commit crimes.
Ah, okay. Yeah, they go back to
Go in,
jail.
come back out. Go in, go and the reason for that is because that's a big commodity in Hawaii and all over the world. You know,
Mm.
not homeless, and or you're coming in and out of jail. That's a big commodity. They make money off of you. So the plan was to work with the at-risk youth, the generation below us, because we always believe that the children are our future. And
Mm.
we took it upon ourselves to create a nonprofit to work with the at-risk youth, and I went back to our roots, to Waianae High School, and we got into the door right there, and we started working with the Waianae High School ALO class, and we have this is our third year going to be there, so we have 2 years consecutive of graduation, and the kids going to the next grade level, which is pretty awesome, I think, because these kids are involved in gangs. They're doing all kind of bad in and out kind of things, but they actually slowed down. The reason why we did these things was because the men that I work with, or the ex convicts that I work with, wanted to see the kids do better than them.
Mm.
That was the whole reason, was to teach them the lifestyle that they believe they think they like. Some of these kids are actually, when you get down to the bottom of it, is they're actually surviving. So if they're selling drugs or selling illegal property, whatever it is, it's because they're trying to make sure that grandma or mom or whoever their guardian is has light, food, the amenities to take care of the house. Because some of them are really old, some of
Mm.
them have nobody. Some of these kids are houseless. So we've also housed some of these kids as well.
And I want to go back to why it's so difficult to pay for electricity and water. And these things should be free because they're unlimited coming
Well,
from the earth, right?
well, first of all, yeah, I don't think anything should be free. I think it should be, we should pay a standard fee.
For rainwater, I can collect rain, but in my home
Well,
state of Oregon, it's illegal to collect free rainwater.
we can't talk about Oregon, yeah, but I can tell you that that's a stupid move that you can't collect it. I
Yeah.
don't know why.
Well, you can't do a
But
lot of things.
like for me, like if like for if we was to pay like even $50 a month, that would at least help maintain your electrical,
Mm.
and maintain the water source. Instead of paying $300 for a house of how many, using the hot water and the water and all of these
Yeah.
things.
Oh, and
We're
then they
paying,
shut off your water when you have a fire.
yeah,
Mm. You can't save
on
your
top of,
family.
you see, and see, that's another thing. I don't know whose idiotic idea was to do that. But you see, there's ways of doing things, and they just choose to do stupid things. They don't have common sense knowledge, and that's what's lacking today. Like if we were to turn over this minute as an independent nation, I don't want any of the lagui that are running out there act and hating on each other to be part of the kingdom's government. I wouldn't want to. And the reason
It'd
why is
be like
because for,
Mad Max, huh?
yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely, and I wouldn't want that. I cannot trust them with money. I cannot trust them with the authority, because they've never seen it before. They never had it in their hands. They've never built any.
Mm.
You know
So
what I'm saying?
aloha has been removed from too many hearts and minds.
Big time, because it's too much pride, too much ego, too much of
Too much
the
trauma and abuse. Because that's the
yeah.
response to trauma and abuse, right?
And so they really haven't really done the inner work inside of them. Yeah. What I would like to see is, because even our people, we had to pay a commutation to the king to keep the kingdom going. Yeah.
Mm.
Even if they got land, that part of that commutation was done. But those farmers had to make sure that every part of those farming, so that the kingdom could thrive, everybody ate. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it still was taxed. See, people think tax is money, but you're still being taxed while you're farming.
right.
But
Yeah,
the
and I
purpose,
wasn't saying we should all just get free stuff. I'm definitely not a Democrat.
oh no,
But
no,
like,
what
but
what I'm
yeah, I
trying,
mean, the electricity shouldn't cost what it does. Yeah,
no,
like
but
we should all have free energy machines on our own homes.
what I'm trying to express is that there needs to be a system put into place, so that we can, I'll tell you right now, my kids live on the continent. I want to go visit them every now and then. And the reason why they live on the continent is because they got better jobs. They got bigger houses, and more than half they pay for. They pay less. They pay. I have a I have a small little studio. Well, not even a studio, 2 bedroom, and they pay less than me.
Right, for a
You know,
full house.
for a full house, and they still got a bedroom for me on top of that. You know
Mm,
what I mean? So it's like they're not starving. I'm not worried about them. You know what I mean?
right.
But what happens is, you know, all and that's for many of our families. You know,
Yes.
and so a lot of us, we're not going to go back into the day ages, but we want to go move forward and make it, happen and make it prosperous for everyone that lives here. So, like, if I would rather see, like, I've been studying like the Kingdom of Tonga a lot, and their people pay. They might be poor in some areas, but you might be poor because you because you might be saying they're poor. Excuse me, you might be saying they're poor, but actually they're actually rich because why? They got land, they got food, they got water, and if they want to fly, they're able to fly.
Mm.
So, and just because they live differently from us, that doesn't mean they have nothing. They have a lot. They got cars,
They got
you know,
lots of time with their kids. And
they
what's
got
more
lots.
valuable than that?
Exactly, exactly, and you
We've
can
been
add
brainwashed to think that we need a Ferrari, we got to look cool, we got to have all this crap, this stuff, and we can't
stuff.
take it with us when we go.
Yeah, and I would rather have time with my family and friends. I mean, they also have technology up there. So you know what I'm saying? It's not
Mm.
like they're just because they're independent and you think they live like this, they don't have. No, they have a lot. They have a lot. And so I look at it, I said, we can have the same thing, but you also have to remember they are very structured. They are they have a lot of boundaries and they're staunch on it, meaning this is how it is, this is how it's going to go, and this is what it is. And that's how it is. But they're also educated people.
Mm.
They they send their people to colleges to learn to some of them a lot of them have their PhD, their doctorates, you know what I mean? So it's like we as Hawaiians gotta up our game. Yeah.
Mm.
Not saying that they're perfect people either, but if you want to look at something and be a carbon copy of it, we gotta start upping our game and stop being that victim mentality in Hawaii.
Mm.
And I think that's why the spirit told me just sit back and watch because no matter what, there's always good at the end of the rainbow, always light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
But before it starts, it's gonna look horrific.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Dark
bad,
before the
and
light.
and that's what's happening right now. All of these people are going at each other's necks, and you even have the non-Kanaka that who are fighting to help Hawaii are getting into the mix and becoming just like that. And that's a
Mm.
cancer. To
Right.
me, that's cancer. I don't want to be involved with that. I'm not even gonna do that. No. I did the court system. They know who I am. They know everything. I'm not gonna get into it, you
Yeah,
know?
being all toxic and angry is actually
Yeah,
feeding that beast. And thank
yeah,
God for Aloha Lani Ho, or Keiki sorry, Keiki.
yeah.
Yeah,
Take
because
Keline.
she started putting out her prophecy videos and saying like, we should be prayerful and like forgiving. And even though it's hard when you're looking at a like a genocidal maniac in the face, but that is the truth and that is the way to go, because yeah, you're no longer carrying that burden of that anger. And yeah, I
Yeah,
actually saw
you,
Josh Green a few weeks ago and he reached out his hand to shake my hand and I shook his hand and I said, I'm praying for you, Joshua. Oh no, I said I'm praying for you first, and then he reached out his hand when I was at this event here on Maui. And yeah, we
and
might be politically not aligned, but yeah, it's
you know,
all about pono and aloha. Like I've got it in
yeah,
my bones now. I'm learning ho'oponopono.
Yeah, gotta,
reconciliation.
basically it's we're all people. We want certain things, and I, I I mean, I like to live nice and luxury, but I also want to live in peace and harmony. I don't want to be looking over my back, you know.
Mm.
And I mean, I can just imagine what these guys been through that I work with that had to do that, because a lot of them are from California, Oakland, places like that where hardcore gangs, and some
And
of
no
them,
one that they can really trust. No
yeah,
group to belong to. No healthy group, so they find a
so,
group.
yeah. So we created one so that, and the reason why is because we want to teach these kids, because these kids are killing each other, and
Mm.
some of them realize that they're related. You see, and that's where the identity comes from, who they are, where they're from, what they're really about. Because you know,
Mm.
you're Hui, but you don't have to have the stupidness of a gang. Go kill people and do all of this kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah,
But
a gang for God. How about that?
and you know, and that's a funny thing you say that, because God is using these guys that used to do dirt like that.
Yes.
Huh? And so, and that's the best thing. And right now, see, so what happened was, that's what we do, and we take care of the at risk youth, and then we do other stuff. We teach them to go out, and we help the people that are unsheltered, stuff like that. But our main focus is the at risk youth, to teach them and give them a different perspective of life, different education, yeah, and because they're practically borderline geniuses,
Yeah,
you know,
every child has genius.
their understandings and the way they see things is very different, but it's also um, to a point where they can grab it and move with it. They're not afraid, you know.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, that's what we do. We're at Waianae High School, and this year we're and at first we had three different people. Two were politicians, one wasn't. One was a pastor. Tried to put my partner in jail and
Hmm.
try to dismantle our organization because of what we're doing, but they couldn't, because I'm the owner of the organization. But they,
Mm.
because there's no illegal things that we're doing. Nothing is illegal. All we're doing is trying to inspire these kids to move forward with different perspectives and efforts in life.
But the status
But
quo needs little violent criminals to create
oh,
fear and
of course,
problems because then those guys come with their solutions. If there's no
of
problem
course,
anymore, then their solution's not needed.
of course. I mean, so by now, that's why now all the politicians see what all, because they do the groundwork. I'm just the person behind the scenes. You
Mm.
know, I'm with the kids all the time. And so they coming now and wanting to help. So now it's about
That's
searching for
beautiful,
grants.
Keline. Thank you so much for doing this.
But I mean, it's not just me. I have a team, and my team has a team. And they go out and do the groundwork. And
So groundwork looks like getting these guys together to play football or pick up trash, clean up the Aina. What do you
yeah.
guys do on a day to
So what?
day, week to week?
So 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 basically, our plan is, we don't want to just be the uncle and auntie sitting in the garage and talking to the kids.
Mm.
We the trauma. So myself and my partner has been going to school for CSEC and COSAC to be counselors for these kids.
Okay.
We're creating our own program. We have a clinician that we're partnering up with. We're trying to partner up with different other people that have, psychologists and stuff like that, so we can create our own program. But on top of that, we started cleaning the beaches. We hit the group homes, the transitional homes, that men that come out, women that come out. And so one of the homes, the beach across in Waianae, Maili, they clean it every Wednesday. So now they made it mandatory because why? It helps their morale. It helps them to get out of the house, and
Mm.
it shows that hey, this is a good thing because at one point they wanted to shut down all clean and sober homes, and we fought against
Oh,
that.
and just give everybody crack pipes. And
Yeah,
then import fire victims from California because obviously there's a lot of free space in Hawaii.
yeah. And so we also work with
It's, yeah, a
we
clown
also
world, huh?
yeah we also work with another individual who works with a California institute called Journey to Solutions, and there we've seen a lot of progress because one of them is on my YouTube. We interviewed her, and her and her husband has come back from that, and and everything that they talk about was so positive. She's now doing her own meetings with people, um, to help them. And so whenever we run into people on the beaches and we ask them if they want to get clean, they're ready. We go. I get their vital records. Some of them don't have ID, social security card, just to catch the plane kind of stuff, right? I get that for them, you know. So it's just different layers of the recidivism. And with the
Mm.
kids, some of them do have probation officers because they got messed up into something. So we got them cleared and stuff like that by doing community services, um,
Do you ever
educating.
have any programs where the older kids start to mentor the younger kids?
Yes, and we started doing that.
Beautiful.
So right now we took them to the community college in Waianae, the Leeward Community College, Waianae, Moku. And so we they can implement their take college courses if they wanted to, because some of these kids are really smart. They
Mm.
just structure, they don't
They
have
need
the
somebody who believes in them,
yeah.
somebody
And
who actually knows how to
so
say, I love you.
yeah, and so one of our kids, most of our kids right now are working during the summer, so which is good.
Yeah.
um
Idle
a lot of
hands are the devil's tools, huh? Oh, it's the top of the hour, everybody. You're listening to KPMW Maui Mix 105.5 FM on your radio dial, your Pinoy hit station, Puso ng Filipino, the heart of the Filipino in Hawaii. You're listening to Keline Kahau, a wonderful soul, beautiful soul living on the island of Oahu, and we're talking about helping the youths, helping ex convicts to help youths to not become convicts, and why people get in trouble in the first place. It all goes back to the family, to the home, to the school. I'm talking to you, Kumu. You are the only parent that some teacher or that some kids ever see. Some of these kids don't have a family structure really, and they need you to reach out and to care and to see, to know when they're struggling and to go lovingly. Okay, I'll stop ranting. I'll get back to Keline.
well, as some of the families, they get afraid that their kids be taken away and stuff like that. So basically, it's before you call the CPS because they're not clean or anything like that. What we do is we check on them. What's going on? What's how comes? We
Yeah.
ask the what, the who's, or what's, all of these things, and it basically comes down is they're trying to make payments on their home.
Mm.
So we come in and we try to make things easier by getting some donations for them, and helping them apply for certain things where everyone in the household now can work and it's not so stressful.
Mm. And they
And
didn't know that there are programs or assistance things, and so you guys kind of
that,
facilitate
yeah,
that.
we for
Beautiful.
we yeah. And that way the kids don't have to go out, sell illegal things, and get into situations, that put them there. But there's also they have adults that put them in there that use them, and so we kind of facilitate in that area. I won't go into that too much,
Oh,
but
into investigating the
yeah,
puppet string holders.
yeah, we do that as well. And so one of my guys, um, especially my partner, he's he used to work for the Lebanese, the Sicilian mafia, all these big dudes, yeah. But he learned about trafficking, he learned about drugs, how these things work. So, and when now he's utilizing those efforts for good,
Mm.
when so he knows who, and he's teaching me because I don't know those kind of signs.
Yeah,
So
he knows the signs to look for.
he's been teaching me those signs, so I'm getting pretty good at that. So in our first year, we this lady, she came to Hawaii, and she was looking for her son, and it was about 5 years she's been looking for her son. She's been traveling the different continents, and it boiled down that her son was in Hawaii, and he was being trafficked by the grandmother who was supposed to be the guardian. And it only took us 3 days, or it took him 3 days to find the stuff. And that's how fast his calculations, his knowledge, and the things that happened, in his life and his experience, he was able to find his that boy.
Since he conquered the demons in himself, now he knows how to go out and hunt those demons.
So it's on our Instagram page, and she talks about it because HPD wouldn't help her. Nobody would help her. She went from island because she didn't know which island he was actually on, but Oahu was the last one, and she reached out to one of our guys, and that's how my partner was able to go and go find that boy. 5 years she was looking for her son,
Oh my God.
and
Five
he
years. And so let me recap this for people. This was the grandmother that human trafficked her own grandchild. That is,
yes,
it turns out a lot of the human trafficking has a family member that's facilitating it.
and
I
so
remember
these
that Kupuna council meeting that we went to that one time,
oh,
and they had
I
some victims that were saying that actually a lot of it is family members trafficking them.
somebody you wanna know and somebody close to you,
And it's here
and
in Hawaii. It's not just here, it's all around the world. It is
all
very
of
real.
it's very real, very much real.
And international syndicates that work together with, well, I don't want to go there on the radio. We could talk about the podcast online. We could talk
But
about more details there, but
it what I've learned is that it doesn't have to be someone just snatching a child. It's always someone that you know. It's always gonna be someone you know.
yeah, like an uncle or a weird auntie. Yeah, I read a book called Sold. This Yemen from the country in the Middle East, the Yemen. This man moved to the UK, married a British woman, had kids with her, and then took his own daughters to the Yemen when they were like 12 and 14, and then sold them into marriage, because that's just how it goes in the Yemen.
Yeah,
That yeah, that book made me cry almost as much as the book about Nanjing. Yeah. And
yeah.
how
So
can people do this? But somehow people can do this.
a lot of it is it's what you can get out of it. Um,
Eternity in a hell. I believe in a burning lake for those people. I didn't really believe in a burning lake of hell, but I think it should exist for certain
yeah.
things.
For some people it was drugs.
Hmm.
Some, but it was drugs and money. Sex. It's all kind of stuff. You name it, they got it. They gonna do it.
Hmm.
And but that's you making a deal with the devil when you do stuff like that.
Yeah, it always boils down to vanity and addiction. Bacchus, right? The same demons.
Yes. So and that was something that I got to see firsthand that he did, and to me it was amazing because people talk about human trafficking. People talk about doing they did this, they did that, but you can see the signs that they've never done it, they never, or they were a part of it, but they, there's certain qualities of people like that. If you were a part of it, you know the signs.
Mm.
Do what not to do, what to say, what not to say. And I come across women that were part of that, got out of that, and explain to me what has happened to them and the signs, so they can see
Mm.
who's bluffing, who wanna be, and who's been really into it. And it's a beautiful experience because it helps me to understand when I'm in a in a room full of people, and I'm actually green to them because I never was there. I never
Mm.
these things happen, but this is what I'm drawn to because when we talk about Aina is not just land. Aina is the people, and if it takes me to be part of this room, where because I'm drawn to these people to help them. To me, they're part of the land because why? They're gonna one day get healed, and some of them are healing at this moment, and they're gonna be the ones leading.
Yes.
That's how I.
Yes.
They're very staunch on their loyalty, their honesty, and their respect,
Mm.
and want that. Once you lie, they cut you off. And but they also understand that if you don't understand what you're doing, they'll help you with it. Because a lot of us don't understand. They don't have they don't have the brain, I guess, to realize that they're lying. They're not they're disrespectful. People don't understand these things.
Right.
But these people, I like to see them lead, and the reason why is because they have these qualities.
So sometimes I get like some contacts because with the Freedom TV thing, I get a lot of messages, and I've had a few different ladies reach out to me asking for help with this specific type of stuff. But since I was battling that very openly, I get weirdos adding my Facebook or whatever. So I'm a little bit nervous to like go pursue helping them myself, and it's a kind of
So
above my ability level, I think.
direct them to us
Okay, and you can help people on all islands then?
for that.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So I've got two right now that I can think of. I hope the one on Oahu is still making it. She was in a pretty bad way, but she couldn't show me any court documents. I tried to connect her with Carl. Um,
Yeah, no, but it just depends on their situation. So like a lot of them will not have court documents.
well, she said she'd been to court, but like they took her documents, and I'm like, well, you got to go to the court and get more. And if you can't show me one, then I don't know if I can trust you at all. But
Yeah.
but
So,
I like again, I'm not qualified to be helping on this stuff either.
yeah, so like it just depends on the situation, and like one lady, she tried to get away, she was being abused, but she kept coming back to her abuser. So we can't help people like that.
That's right. Yeah, you can lead a horse to water. So,
Yeah,
speaking of waters, Hawaii, the living waters, we are made of water. For folks that are at risk or they know someone who's at risk and they need help, how can they get in touch with you or your organization? What's the easiest way?
so right now the easiest way is we do have an Instagram and a Facebook account.
Okay, Facebook and Instagram.
It's Waters, WATRR. Group.
WATRRS group. Waters with two R's and no
And
E.
you'll
WATRRS group on
and you'll see
Instagram.
black code and it'll say Waters on top.
Okay, I see it. Waters Group Hawaii on Instagram. And it's a
And then
beautiful golden W full word on a black background icon. Yes. Okay, good. So, yeah, and if you see something, say something, folks. Like this stuff is real. Human trafficking is real.
Yeah, it is. And they can DM that particular site, or if they have only Facebook is the same way, you know.
Just a direct message.
I I also have one on the. It used to be Twitter, but it's X. Yeah,
X.com. Yeah.
they have one on there as well. And I'll give you my. Everybody tries to email me, so it's post@watersgroup.org.
POST post
Yeah,
at Waters Group, WATRSGROUP.com.
.org.
Oh, .org.
Yes.
Post at watersgroup.org. If you or anybody that you know is at risk, whether it's an adult or a teenager, there's somebody who needs to get away from gangs, a battered spouse who needs to get away from a horrible abuser, call on Waters Group and they will help you to get back to the light. Because
Yeah.
yeah, you're in the midst of it. You're seeing all this evil around, and it can be like that black mirror where it starts to stare back and it weighs on you. And for me, I've gotten the same kuliana or the same message from source, from creator God, Jesus, is that it was time to step back. I was on the front lines, and some people feel guilty if they don't fight every day all day, and it's like, oh no, we're in a dance right now. And yeah, I don't need to fight anymore. I need to do that inner work, take time to breathe, to meditate, to pray. Because praying is like when we talk to God, meditating is when we listen, right? And yeah, we can build systems that transcend rather than just continuously fighting in the arena where, like, that's where they draw our energy anyway, right? So
Yeah.
you went from campaigning and doing all of the things that they told us we should do that actually don't like really move the needle as much. And then you just said, no, hearts and minds. I'm going to go work on the hearts and minds and create new leaders. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're doing an amazing thing. And that is the way to solve this lawfully, peacefully with aloha and to really have some ho'oponopono, some reconciliation. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
And part of it is because you want to be able to, like a lot of us have the trauma because, and that part of that trauma is whatever that inner child went through, but a lot, and it's basically going to be the same,
Mm,
like people like Trump because, oh, he gonna get the job done, he's like this, but that that and I'm not trying to make it, bad on him or anything, but they like that energy that, oh yeah, let him do it. You know what I
mm.
mean? And it becomes a toxic energy.
Yeah, when it's like somebody is going to come save us. But Trump
Yeah,
himself said he can't do all this. He needs every single one of us to put in the effort.
we need to exactly. We need to also be putting in the effort. And so once you do that inner child within you, you go, wait a minute, hold on. I need to create leaders. So if I'm a mom and my kids are leading, I need to make sure that other kids are leading because they don't have moms, they don't have
Mm,
parents, or they got guardians that are not really there for them. You
mm.
know, that's that's what we're doing with these new leaderships because we don't want to see people on the beaches. It's one thing to be houseless and it's one thing to live off grid.
Yeah, off
And
grid is a different thing. And
it's
yeah, it's
two.
looking like California around this archipelago these days, and not in a
Yeah,
good way.
yeah, and so right now they're not off grid. They're houseless, and it in the kids' minds it's normalized. So they're becoming conditioned to be normalized and not do anything
I
else.
remember in Portland, like the hipsters in the 2000s were like living out on the street and having a gym membership to take a shower. And like my friends were getting into that. And they're like, yeah, this is cool. We're living off grid. Like, no, you're not. You're getting like food stamps. You're totally on the grid, but living in a
Yeah,
cold, wet place. Like, go to
yeah,
California if you want to live on the streets. Jeez. It never made sense to me how that's like. I mean, I respect all walks of life and all life forms. My friend did a whole documentary on it in Santa Monica and showed that most of the people actually want to be there because they don't want to be part of this system. But the thing is, like, well, if you're gonna not be there, then do it in style. Like here in Hawaii, people have whole farms where they're living like a really good life, like whole like communities that you don't get to see unless you're invited.
yeah. And that's see, and that's the mentality that has to change because they're only seeing one perspective, one area, and so it becomes normalized for them, and then it becomes the condition. And
Mm,
we gotta get away from the conditioning and normalizing of things that think it's okay.
mm,
It's okay to go camping a few days. It's okay to live off grid because you just plan. There's a plan when you live off grid.
yeah.
When you're houseless, there's no plan.
Mm,
There's no idea where you're gonna eat, shower, sleep, all of that. There's no plan,
mm.
and that's the difference. And
And then you
you know,
become a victim of the state, which is looking for people like you just to scoop you right up and put you in their
and
system and profit
that's
from you.
that's the thing is, yes, Hawaii was overthrown. Yes, there was a lot of bad things that happened, but we do not have to be or act or talk and react as a
Mm.
victim.
Oh, and you mentioned trauma from childhood. I saw a study recently saying that generational trauma is now proven in the epigenetics, like 14 generations. And I'd never understood or experienced generational trauma like consciously. I've got some of my own, but like when I was sitting actually with our friend Pikachu and another guy, another Kanaka guy outside Lila Okolani's palace, and just I was the fly on the wall listening to them talking about like their identities because like their language of Olelo Hawaii was taken, the history, the culture, and like it hit me like a ton of bricks in that moment. I'm getting chicken skin right now. Like, yeah, generational trauma is totally real. And anybody who denies it just is ignorant or they don't want to look over there.
So when it comes to like, you know, okay, so we just had Juneteenth Day, yeah.
Mm.
We gotta understand. Okay, and the reason why I bring that up is because my daughter-in-law is married to African American. Yeah.
So Juneteenth, for the folks who don't know, that's a memorial day for a massacre of like a mostly black town in where was it in
They,
Missouri?
Texas, Georgia, all of that area.
Okay,
It was a day for where they released the slavery was no longer permitted. Yeah,
okay,
so it's a federal holiday actually. And so, but you gotta remember, like, what is it? Yeah, why? How come they enslave people because for their own benefit? Yeah,
yeah, they
and
carried on millennia old tradition
also
of
you
enslaving
gotta
people.
also yeah, you gotta also remember that these African Americans, they came up from the mud. They took themselves out of the mud to get educated. Yeah, they might have protested, but they did it in style. They did it because they were educated. They believed in their God. They had a plan to do things. A lot of African Americans that I meet today, they're not just hustlers, but they're educated hustlers.
Yep,
You know,
I met a
not
lot in the
just
military. Very
yeah.
smart.
And then okay, so now we just had Kamehameha Day the same month on the 11th, right? Same thing. There's a lot of Hawaiians who are very educated. They protest, but very educated. But they still gotta come up. A lot of our Kanaka need to come up and stop playing the victim mindset. And I'm only talking about my people because I see it,
Right.
you know. And the part of it is that they bring each other down, and I don't care for that. But everybody do that. Not I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
it
not
was put into the
saying
culture. Everybody got to fight
every.
since like
Yeah,
childhood at school, like school
but we
violence.
don't have to do that no more. There's no sense of fighting anymore.
Mm.
If you fight, put it on paper. Let's walk it into court. Let's see how that works out.
Or just
You know.
agree to a match on Friday in a ring with like the proper stuff. I
Yeah.
did it just to see if I could like do it. I survived 3 rounds, but I wasn't angry at the guy either. I like boxing.
It's and basically it's being having instead of having a fixed mindset, it's having a growth
Growth,
mindset
yes, abundance.
and, and opening your perspectives. Have an open mind to seeing different perspectives of how they look at things. Like you know, like they always say, your first feelings and all of those things are free, but don't let it be your response.
Mm.
Think about it, then
Breathe.
and then yeah, breathe, then respond and
Yes.
reason why the person answers the way they do. And it always gonna come down to however they were raised, whatever happened to them in the past,
Yeah, blueprint.
it, that blueprint is there. But you could be the solution to help break that blueprint.
Yes,
To
be the
know what I mean?
change.
Yeah. So instead of being, another one responding in negativity, draw out that negative and throw in that positive
Mm.
to and that's what we teach these kids.
So, have
We make
you heard of nonviolent communication, NVC, also called giraffe language?
yes.
Fantastic. I just had to give those guys a shout out because, yeah, he does a puppet show with like the little jackal on one hand and the giraffe on the other. And the jackal is that trauma speaking through us, right? And then the giraffe translates it like, oh, okay, you're yelling at me right now because there's something going on inside of you, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not me. It's like, yeah, you're
Yeah.
yelling.
It's the same thing. It's like people, instead of having constructive criticism, which a lot of people do have, people will take it as an attack.
Right.
And so this is what I talk about when, you know, in our program with the kids. We may not know, because some kids, they don't wanna. We had a child they were working on for like a year to 2 years or something like that. Never spoke. Once
Mm.
we walked in there, in 5 minutes she was speaking to my partner. My partner's 6'5". He's 6'5", almost three, almost maybe 400 pounds, maybe at the time.
Jeez. Yeah, he looks
He's
like
big,
one big mean dude, but he's got a
but you know
soft
what?
spot, huh?
Biggest teddy bear of all when it comes to the kids. And all she did was tell her life story, tell everything, and she started to cry. And I walked in on the perfect timing, and she just needed a hug. And that's how we work things, right? Because they're the rough ones. I'm the nurturer. I'm auntie, right? I'm the
Yeah.
auntie. But auntie can get some, her. I'm gonna get cracks in because I want to see you move forward.
Yeah.
Crack you to bring you down. I'm gonna make.
Accountability. Yeah.
I want you to level up. You know what I'm saying?
And
And
about
so,
the constructive criticism is, yeah, how
yeah,
to criticize constructively and how
but
to take
also,
criticism.
it's your tone, it's how you present yourself, and
Mm.
we try, our thing is we're not their friends, you know, we're their mentors,
Yes, it's a
you know,
different level.
different level. And because also these are street kids, gonna see that once they smell your weakness as a friend,
Walk
boom.
all over you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and that
I was a
happens.
teacher in a classroom. It's almost as bad as the streets with some groups.
So, and that's the one thing we always expect: respect and,
Yeah, you
honesty.
give respect, you get respect. That's why people, yeah, parents will ask me, like, how do I get my kid to respect me? Well, first, show them respect. It's a magical tool.
It's a very magical tool, and it are, there's so much nonprofits, and a lot of them are like they're either doing the same thing or saying they're doing the same thing. We don't see that.
Yeah, I've seen some investigations from Doge in Hawaii on X, Doge in Hawaii 808 on Instagram. And that account is revealing how a lot of these nonprofits and NGOs are actually doing the opposite of what they say.
And I'm gonna tell you, we run on fumes right now. You know, my partner works. We get no grants. We get nothing because I'm like, man, you know, no matter how much work we put in, we get nothing. But it's okay, you know,
Mm.
for the part. I'm trying to get to a point where we can just do this. You know, not
Yeah.
work.
Well, and I
You know,
personally spent a lot of time with you and Joe Akana, and we traveled over to Big Island together, met up with BJ Penn when he was campaigning. And I've met you and your former, well, your late husband, Dane, also a federal postal judge. Amazing man, a great kumu who only had a short time to teach me some cool stick fighting, a stick fighting master, but also
yeah.
a scholar of law. And so I've met you in the flesh, and I know that when I look in your eyes, I know that you're telling me the truth,
Yeah.
right? So like a lot of these faceless organizations that you can just follow the money and you see like inconsistencies and where things are looking a little bit funny, and then you dig deeper and you find out they're connected to USAID, or they're connected to like the DNC, Democratic National Committee. No offense against Democrats, by the way. Said earlier I'm not a Democrat, but like I read the U.S. Constitution. It doesn't have the word democracy in it anywhere. Article 4, Section 4 guarantees a Republican form of government in every state. And I know Dane, your beautiful, wonderful husband, he had his Make America Great Again hat. Even though he's ko Hawai'i Pai'aina, he recognizes the kingdom, but he also leaned more towards the people that are into God, country, and family, I guess.
Well, because you know he was a veteran.
Oh,
He was
and
a
he served. That's right.
and
He
that
was
was
in
the
the
fun.
Navy, was it?
Yes.
That's right. He told me a story. It's not my kuleana to share that story, but yeah, go ahead.
So it was a funny story because he's from Papakolea, Hawaiian homestead, and him and Willie Coons, who he also passed away, but they got it. They were young and almost finished high school, and they decided to go steal a car. And so,
Youth is
and
wasted on the young, isn't it?
and you know, just having nothing to do but do that, right? And so, I guess the person that owned the car, the family knew, and so they went to court, and they both. So the judge was either time, serve time, or go into the military. They both ended up in the military. And
What a
Willie Cole,
nice judge, and how lucky that could have
well,
changed their life in a bad way, huh?
the parents of them said, no, they're going to go into the military. So they need to be disciplined and, you know, all of these things and stop getting into trouble. Finished high school. They both graduated, finished high school. They didn't get to walk with their class, but they were already
Oh, they
set.
shipped out like before even
That,
graduation, like
yeah,
certificate signed, wet ink, huh?
got it. And they went. Willie Cohn served. He made it like a career path. He enjoyed himself. Him too was from Papa Kalea. Uncle Dane didn't stay in that long. He got out, and but you know, he went to Vietnam, all of those kind of things, you know.
Mm,
But you know, he understood what was going on in Hawaii. So his thing was always about justice
mm,
and correction for the people. Yeah, not just a certain portion of people. Everybody had to be, because him too. He has, you know, his papa was from Japan. You know, so you know it was always about the people. Yes, we are important. You know, we're not saying that we're invalid or anything like that, but you know, it we take on the abilities of an ali to take care of not just our families, our friends, and our people, but it's everyone to take care of, and that's what an
mm.
ali had the mindset and the heart and the blood and the strength of an ali to take care of everyone.
And what was
That's what
that painting? I saw for the folks who don't know Ali'i, the Ali'i were like the noble class in the Hawaiian kingdom that would carry out orders of the king and help maintain things. I guess you could think of them as like the lords, right? Like in
that.
Europe, you had the kings and then you had the nobles. And that's just human nature. Like it comes down to the people who do the work and who do the planning. And certain people are good at planning, certain people are good at leadership, and the cream rises to the top. And that's just how things generally break down in every group, every experiment. Um, oh shoot, I wanted to mention something. So I'm seeing a lot of similarities. Like since I hung out with you guys and the other Kanaka that I met through you guys, um, everybody has the same kind of thing. They love their family. They want a great future for the kids. They love their God, their creator, Io or Keakua or whatever different names that we have. Pretty much everybody believes in one creator. And then like I meet the Filipino community, and I'd actually been to the Philippines back in 2019. They speak on Filipinos because on the radio station here, a lot of uh, Filipinos are the listeners. It's founded by a Filipino family, and they stood up at the Barrio Fiesta, like when the flag was being raised, or when we did this, the Pledge of Allegiance, and they had uniformed active duty military members there with their rifles and everything. Like these guys really love America. They love the truth as far as they can find it. They love their families. They love God. I saw so many shining faces from the different church groups there. I guess I looked like a sore thumb being the only white guy there, but I lived in Asia so long I didn't realize it until later. Then I realized, like, oh, everybody's looking at me here because I'm the only white guy.
No, as far as so my four kids have Filipino. They have Visayan and Tagalog. So my their grandfather, yeah, is Visayan and Tagalog. So they're Filipino Hawaiian, yeah.
Yeah, well, and Filipinos make up what, like 28% of the population here in Hawaii
That's
now.
so, and their dad or their grandfather, I should say, was Uncle Dane's how did they say it? Well, like their instructor, like their for because he taught Kali,
Oh,
yeah.
like Sifu, like master?
Yeah, he was the Sifu, exactly. If I hear it, I know it. So, so he was their instructor, and all my kids know how to do their sticks. They all have their own sticks. I even get my own. I get my. So he went to the Philippines. He bought couple gong sticks.
Mm.
I'm sure that the Filipinos will know this, but I have my own, and so yeah,
I call those
and
the find out sticks.
or those what they couple gong to hit the bull on the head and knock them out.
Shoot.
Those are yeah. So I have my. Everybody got their own couple gong sticks, and one of my I think it's well my youngest daughter. She loves her the long stick.
And is that different than the ones that we trained with Dane,
No,
like the
no,
collie sticks or Eskrima?
no. It's just a different way of doing it. Yeah. So his his instructor was Villabril. Villabril was the last name.
He trained with Bruce Lee, was it right? Was it that one?
Yeah. Well, yeah. That was my father-in-law. Yeah, at that time. Yeah. So, but my father-in-law's their grandfather's master was Floro Villabril, and he came from the Philippines, lived on Kauai, and he taught a lot of the Filipinos on Kauai and Lanai. Yeah,
Hmm.
and so and then he also taught my kids, and Dane was, and then he taught me, so I know how to do it as well. I haven't practiced for a while, but yeah, get me bad enough. I'll fly that stick. I'll fly anything.
So you gonna show me some stuff when I come to visit next time?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Yeah, I was like so sad that I didn't get to keep training.
That's okay. That's all right. It's. I mean, my kids they know it. I still have some of my old stuff, but yeah, I have a lot of the you know like we did a lot of stuff. It was important that he train us and learn from it. You know,
Yeah, I've
but
got a Navy SEAL friend, and he's a big fan of the sticks because, yeah, you don't have to be great with a stick, but it's a great defense and it puts a lot of distance between you and whoever's thinking funny.
yeah, and that's the thing is they were inside fighters. They and meaning that they come in close. Yeah,
Mm, yeah,
and
and lightning fast.
yeah, and that's because in their mind they don't give a they don't care. They just will come in close, boom, pick you out.
Yeah. Well, and when you train enough times, you get hit plenty of kind times, and then you're used to it,
Oh yeah,
right? Like,
I got plenty bruises. Yeah,
right?
I had you. That's part of your training. You gotta learn how to get hit and take it.
Yes. Yeah.
But
And
you know,
nothing like
I
getting
love that.
hit on the back of the hand with a hard stick. That hurts so bad.
I my Filipino community because I love Filipino food.
Talaga naman. Yes. I love the Filipino food. They had that adobo chicken. And that's what I noticed at the Barrio Fiesta. It was all these different organizations, Filipino organizations, and like I don't know how many of them actually had a restaurant attached, but all of them brought food. All of them were like
Oh
doing
yeah,
food.
they're
It's
all
big
about food.
food and music culture.
Yeah, they're all about food and culture and bringing unity. That's what they're about. They might have their ups and downs, but they're about unity. But I
Yeah, I
love
have
Philip.
another friend here on Maui, and she was like, "Oh, I heard that the Filipino community, they pretty much just stick to themselves and like they don't really like outsiders." And I was like, I don't know. Like, I went to the Philippines and everybody treated me like pretty good. And here on
Yeah,
Maui, too, same thing. But I
all
guess,
right.
I speak a few words of their language and I love their food and their history and culture. So maybe I get like a little bit more of like a local welcome. Oh, yeah, Ryan told me that I'm a Filipino enough. I think he said that one day. Like they've accepted me. He represents them officially accepting me. Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks, Ryan. I hope you're listening, brother. He's the senior producer here, and yeah, yeah, really great guy.
yeah. The Filipino community is a they were like one of the not the I don't want to say the first, but they were like one of the ones that came with the Chinese and the Japanese. Like one of those first ones, the first waves, I think.
Oh,
That
of people that came to be part of the Hawaii melting pot. Yeah, there's a
yeah,
long history of lots of different cultures coming to Hawaii. We always think of America as being a melting pot, but I mean, in the middle of the
oh
Pacific, Hawaii was a melting pot long before it ever had
way
American ships land here.
yeah, long, long
And we
before.
can actually feel that here, whereas like in America mainland, we see like it's all homogenous, like every town looks like the same cookie cutter thing. They've always
Yeah,
got like a sandwich place, they've got a burger place next to a gas station, and it's always like the same model.
yeah.
Whereas like Europe isn't like that. And here in Hawaii, like, yeah, you have like these different groups of cultures that are all coexisting. And it's such a beautiful thing. And I really do think that this violence with the young people and everything, I think it's manufactured. It's put in
Oh yeah,
place to keep us divided.
of course it is. Of course it is. There's a lot of things that I like to share that are manufactured, but you know,
Yeah, that's
I'm
for
just
the online
hold it.
podcast. For the
I'm
folks,
gonna
go
hold to
ahead.
myself, but it's it's a and I want to say this: not all politicians are bad.
Mm.
I, some politicians, like like the one in our area, he's from here. He's born and raised here, and he's a Hawaiian. He went to military as well, but he's for the people in his area, and that's the thing is like, you know, his comeback is about the people, the children. especially the children at all ages and the ones that coming out of high school.
Mm.
He's up for everybody, you know, and he does his best. He has his own private company, and when we got hit with the corona lows, he utilized that to help everybody along the coastline as well as in um, Wailua. When you know, so you know he's about the people, and he wasn't trying to show off or anything. That's just where his heart is for the people for
Mm.
Wailua.
Well, and yeah, I remember meeting some girl on a Greyhound bus who's like, I'm gonna be a Supreme Court justice someday. I'm gonna be a judge, and like everybody goes in with like this intention of being good and helpful, and then some people get a knock on the door and says, well, if you want to be part of the club, you have to play the game, and I help you, you help me,
That's
wink,
the thing.
wink, and then it's just
That's
like this slow like thing where they grind them down, but there
so
still are good people in there that haven't bent the
yeah.
knee.
So that's another thing with the district rep where I live. He don't care. He's gonna go against everybody. And even though he gets slapped with it, he said, "I'm doing my work. I'm taking care of my community. This is what my community wants," and he's gonna go for it. Even though he might not get the best results,
Mm,
got the best results from his community, and that's the best what he wants. You know, so you know, and he understands more than what people see what's on the surface. You know, so if he made a vote that they didn't understand, he'll explain why and show them what the outcome would be or might be. You
mm,
know, so you know he's very informative like that. Like we get to talk with him once. It's once a month. One you know every week every once a month. First first or second week of the month we get to talk with him, and he invites all the community to come out to talk and listen. You know, but because his thing is to address the issues in Wyoming. You know, and
mm.
that's what, you know, I was kind of skeptical with politicians, but when you get to see it and you get to see that person live up front, look in your eyes,
Yeah.
to me you're genuine. You know, I take it for what it is. You know,
Well,
so
I hope that you will someday run again. You definitely got my vote.
yeah, I don't know about that. You know, people run again. I was like, I don't know, but I know I have some people that are running, that are going to start running, and I will. I don't know what they're going to run for. They have several options, but I will be
Mm.
support.
If we
Yeah,
can get one island to have two county council members who are really working for the people, then we can flip the whole archipelago to be Team
yeah,
Humanity.
yeah,
Right? If there's two common sense people in one county council, that's all we really need. Because I'm looking at like Ralph Kushney, the elections commissioner, who just said, I want procedural clarity. I want chain of custody documents. He's not like asking for anything too crazy, but he got in there and then he was consistent and insistent. And then pretty soon we have other commissioners that are resigning and then other commissioners who are starting to vote towards transparency. And they call him an election denier, but I call them transparency deniers. They want to deny us transparency. If it was the best election or the most secure election in history, then show us the receipts. It's that simple.
very simple. See, and that's another thing is that it's not if you want transparency, yeah, you also want them to be honest because transparency is I'm here with okay,
You cut out.
but
You said, I'm here with what?
I said I'm so transparency is saying I'm here talking on the phone with Andrew. Honesty is saying I'm here with Andrew on the phone, on the radio, doing an interview. You see what I'm saying? You bringing in details. Yeah.
Right.
So transparency is not just about you want them to be honest at the same time.
The whole
Bring it.
truth and nothing but the truth. Yeah, no
Yeah,
partial truth. Yeah, that's the
yeah,
best lie, right? Devil's trick is to
yeah.
tell
So
part
bring.
of the truth.
Yeah, we want the transparency, but we want the truth at the same time. So don't just say you did this. Say why, how come, and with who, you know, kind of thing. So, and that's what and that's the word bomb game. Yeah,
Yes, the
people got.
word salad game.
Yeah, and so this time I just want cucumbers and dressing. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
it. That's the truth. Don't tell me I want salad. You know what I mean? What do you want in a salad? You know that. So basically, I've been following that, and I hear what they're saying. You know, but again, people gotta get away from their evil doings as well, and
mm,
because they can want certain things and say certain things, but if somebody walked in with $100,000, they'd be like, okay, I'll do anything for you, you know.
there's a lot of those. Yeah.
And
And
there's a
yeah,
lot of
good people then flip. Yep.
yeah,
But it's also
so,
possible to flip the bad ones and get them to blow the whistle.
yeah, of course. You know what we call those, right?
What do you call those?
Call those rats.
A rat. Snitches get stitches. Yeah, and that's why people are so afraid to speak the truth. But yeah, I mean, if you're a criminal and you're a rat, like, okay, you robbed a
Oh,
bank and you tell on your friends, that's one thing. But like, if you murdered someone at the bank and then you
yeah,
tell on your friends, like, well, come on, man, like, that's horrible. You should tell it,
sorry.
you should rat on yourself.
Yeah, that's a different story.
Yeah,
But talking like about these politicians and the elections commission and all of that, somebody got paid, guaranteed, or somebody made a favor to somebody that can guarantee that favor. So you know what I'm saying? So there's things that are happening within, and and people might not like Trump, but I can calculate and see what he's trying to do.
mm,
You know, I mean, it hurts. It even hurts my organization. But when people say, "Oh yeah, go clean the swamp," but what does cleaning the swamp look like?
yeah, you mean some of the Trump policies are harmful to your organization, but yet
Yeah.
you still support the president.
Well, of course, because if like I always ask this question, I said, okay, so if you're gonna drain the swamp, what does it look like when you drain it? What happens when you drain it? No one could answer me. But this
Yeah.
is what
It's
this is
like
what
when you drain a really bad infection. It's disgusting.
yeah. So it's coming out. I mean, like I don't like to be controlled either. But if we're talking business, yeah,
Mm,
if we're talking business, and you're talking about money, then all right, then that's a different story. You know, it hurts a lot of people, but a lot of it is our own people hurt each other.
yeah. Well, and it's hurting the people, I think, a lot of people that aren't independent enough. And sorry if I sound insensitive to the folks that
No,
are getting a lot of programs or whatever, but like I straight up eat sweet potato leaves, like before I take food stamps.
of course,
I
and
don't want to be on that system and controlled by it and owned by it.
neither do I, neither do I. And that's kind of like where the mentality is we gotta teach the kids to be entrepreneurs, be creative. Don't allow yourself to contribute to the same patterns, break these patterns.
Yeah, be the
And
change we want to see.
so like a lot of our field trips we go to, we don't just go to the class. We take them on field trips where we introduce them because we have a lot of business owners that were in their spot at one time. Some of them went to prison, came out, and started a business from scratch, and now they're successful. And so we
Mm,
take places like that so that they can see that
yeah, you
this is
can
the
too.
way you
Yes.
can too. You don't have to go into the prison system to understand that you can do it.
When I was in high school, I went to a Baptist Christian school, and they had a trip down to Mexico to a poor town, and we ended up staying in like an orphanage that like the kids had gone like on some trip or something, so we stayed there, and we ended up building a couple of tiny houses, like just two loft houses in this village that didn't even have like roads. It was dirt roads, open sewage ditches, and like I was a tough guy acting like Jim Carrey all the time, called myself Ace. And like yeah, that brought tears to my eyes like at 14, like so full of myself. And then like that really brought me down to earth, seeing that these these kids have so little but they're so happy, and they wear
Yeah,
thick sweaters on a 90-degree day. That was another issue. But like yeah, they don't feel the heat, dude. But like yeah, like everybody's crying when we left after being down there for like 1 or 2 weeks, and it was life changing for me at that age of like 14 years old, freshman year. So yeah, God bless you for doing that, Keline, and your
well,
team, everybody that's involved. I hope you can expand and do more of that. Take the kids around the world. I was doing summer
yeah.
camps before COVID, right? Like,
We, I, my thoughts is to take them to Washington D.C.
mm,
and to like the museum over there. The different places, different tourist sites in there, so that they can have an experience and to see what the world is like, because not everything in America is bad,
yeah.
you know, and not everything in Hawaii is good or evil. You know
Yeah,
what I
there's
mean?
good and bad everywhere. And inside of each one of us, we have that white wolf and that black wolf always
Yeah.
battling, right? And whichever one we
So
feed is the one that wins the battle.
yeah, and I want them to have an experience to see that they can be part of this. They don't have to follow the patterns of everyone else. That's kind of
Mm.
like that's my idea that
Well,
I,
if you tell them they're a bad kid, they'll believe it and they'll live into that,
there you go.
right? Yeah, you don't have to follow that pattern that someone else decided for you.
There you go. And that's the stigma, right? At this point, when they come into the ALO class, the alternative learning opportunity class,
I like the
it's
name. That's a good name.
you know before it was before it was ALC, yeah.
Mm.
So those once they hear that class, oh, that's where all the bad kids
Yeah,
go. So
that's
they
the short bus. You're a bad kid. You're dumb.
yeah,
But aloe's the medicine, huh?
yeah.
I
There
love
you
it.
go.
And it is. Every problem is an opportunity.
Yeah, so that's kind of like where we're at, is wanting to take them. We take them on field trips, and so now we have a new batch of kids coming in. So we're gonna do the same thing with them, but this time around, I'm trying to organize a trip to Washington, like when they get off of, when they're on break or something, you
Mm.
know. But that's something I've been wanting to do.
Now,
To
kids, we're going to the heart of darkness, but we will find some light inside. It's true, though.
just something so that it'll expand their horizons, you
Yes.
know. I mean, yeah, America is America, but so is Hawaii. You know,
Right, right.
if we can even go to like Tonga or Tahiti, I'll do that too. I'll get everybody's, but
That would be even
start.
more eye opening, I think, because it's a different language. And like you said earlier in today's talk, like, yeah, they're living in a different style than what we've been programmed to believe is right. But yeah, having lived overseas myself, I've seen that, right? It looks insane the way these people are doing this or that. But like their country's been around for 5,000 years, like they're doing something right.
Yeah,
I don't like eating chicken feet, but some people do. Right? And there ain't nothing wrong with that. I don't be offended, but I have a hard time with Hawaiian traditional food as well. It feels like bland to me.
yeah. Oh, it depends on the cook who's cooking it.
Yeah, and I guess well, like some people have like a royal tongue or something. They can taste the subtleties that my tongue's too burned by Indian food maybe. Right?
Oh, my food. I love that kind of food.
Yeah, there's no like bad Indian food unless you get the bad one, but we don't need to talk about that on the radio.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's the top of the hour at KPMW Maui Mix 105.5 FM on your radio dial, your Pinoy hit station, Puso ng Filipino, the heart of the Filipino in Hawaii. You've been listening to MC Shy Guy, me, Andrew, and today's guest, Keline Kahau of Waters Group. Go to Waters Group Hawaii on Instagram if you or anybody you know is at risk or in danger, drug abuse, gang violence, spouse abuse, any of that kind of stuff, call them. They've got systems and people that can help you. They are the real deal. They're not part of this onion layer matrix that we heard about in the last show before we got on today. Thank you so much, Kilene, for coming on today. God
Okay.
bless you. Any last words today before we shut them down?
Well, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone and all the listeners that are out there, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers and the fathers to be.
Shoots. Yep. Happy Father's Day and aloha.
Aloha.
Malama pono.
Malama.
Okay, all those mics are down. Let's see, is Cecile wandering around out there? I like to introduce her to the guests after the thing. Well, we're still streaming online.
Okay.
Yeah, when after the show with Joe last time, she was all excited, like, because he's got the inside info. Oh, I think she's having a nap now. Yeah, I'd like to try to introduce everybody to her directly. But
Anyway,
yeah, you'll get to meet her one day soon, I hope. And yeah, we definitely want to have you back on someday soon if you can.
sure.
How did you feel about today's episode? Well, we're still live on the online.
Oh, it was actually good.
Yeah, good, pretty decent flow, right? Beautiful. All right. Well, thanks so much, Keline, and let's chat soon. I'm gonna shut down this live stream.
Okay. All right. Talk to
Aloha.
you
Say
later.
hi to John for me and the
I will.
family.
Okay.
Aloha.
Aloha.
All right. That was another beautiful day, a beautiful Sunday. Thanks for the folks who are tuning in online. Thanks for your patience with me with this podcast. I'm rubbing my belly and patting my head here. I've got this mic set up here that's plugged into the laptop. And then I got those mics over there and the soundboard. Podcasting on its own is like a lot of moving parts trying to live stream to Rumble, FaceTime, or Facebook, Instagram, X.com, all of those at once. So, because this is a project that is not necessarily for profit, it is a bigger than myself type of thing. I'm trying to find some volunteers or interns that can join on a more regular basis and be part of the production or part of the promotion, part of the thing. We are here to exchange ideas and to help make this world a better place. So if you or anybody that you know is interested in helping me to clean this show up a little bit and do a better job with it, then please send them my way. I really appreciate any kind of help that I can get. I started doing this podcasting thing not because I want to be a podcaster, but because I've been fighting the forces of evil with Maui Freedom TV, and it helps to be in the media. It helps to avoid cement boots or becoming shark bait. And my friend Kele, not Keline, Kele, she's in jail right now on the island of Oahu. She was tased 4 times by the police, um, Honolulu Police Department, on May 5th of last year, 2025. And I've reviewed all the chest cam footage, all of the evidence. She had a cigarette in one hand and a phone in the other hand. And these guys pulled her out of her car after she said that they are working for satanic pedophiles. She didn't do anything wrong. She didn't do anything that warranted them doing that to her. So I called 911 that day and demanded a wellness check, and I let them know my name because I stand on truth and transparency, and I don't fear these punks, but God did give me a brain. But I told him that I'm recording this call for public record. And so I know that I put myself at risk when I did that. But, if we don't stand for Calais, then who's going to stand for us when they come for us doing that same thing? And I've seen it over and over again since I started Maui Freedom TV. People giving me personal stories, looking right in my eye and telling me this is what the state is doing. Not just here, it's also like some lady called me from Ireland after doing one of these podcasts. And what Kalea described with the state and the Child Protective Services doing with her kids is the same thing happening in Ireland. It's the same thing happening in New York. There is a global cabal, a corporation, a dead body corporation. Corpus means dead body, like an incorporated state, incorporated town. Inc. Incorporated means that it's part of this legal structure system. And it all goes back to Washington, D.C., that square drawn on the map. It's the District of Columbia, it's its own corporation, and every state is a subsidiary corporation under it. With it's like they put a wrapper around our original like individual states, which were their own countries. The federal government was supposed to just help with interstate commerce, not to have any rights or powers over the individual people that lived in those states. And it's the same type of structure with pretty much every country around the world. They use a very, very similar system. And it goes back to Babylonian Baal worship. Statutory law, statute goes back to statue worship. Sounds like a crazy conspiracy theory, but I interviewed a lot of these people like Keline, like Jeffrey, and I got like documents. They showed me physical documents and I went and checked, and it turns out these guys are not wrong. And when you go in the courtroom and you start using some of the stuff, if you know what you're doing, then yeah, it's actually working. I'm seeing it work with people who know what they're doing. But with Calais, she didn't quite know the laws well enough that she could rattle it off. So they thought that she was going to be a weak target, and they grabbed her and they choked her from behind and they tased her 4 times. So if you go kind of like half cocked, not really knowing what you're doing, they will smell that weakness and some of them will stomp on you. So, not legal advice, not medical advice here. I'm just saying that these YouTube videos about people talking about the birth certificate being like a fraud, social security system being a fraud, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. The IRS taxation is voluntary. You don't actually have to pay taxes if you're not in commerce. And most people don't realize that. Personal income tax should not be a thing. And we've just been hoodwinked our whole lives. We've been tricked into thinking that death and taxes are inevitable. But Jesus showed us that death is optional. Well, or you could come back afterward. Verily, verily, I say unto thee, these works you can do and more. He said something like that, right? So, and he's not the only one in history who's resurrected either. So that's something to think about, folks. This world that we live in, that we were told, like Jim Carrey said in a lot of his videos, this is all the Maya, the illusion. We just think that we're separate. We're not. We're all one. And I love you guys. Thank you very much for the folks who've tuned in. Send comments, share the video, do all the things, hit like, subscribe, all the things. But really, what I hope is to get comments back and to hear from you what you think about this format, this show, and how I can improve it and how I can continue to uplift and amplify the voices that are here in Hawaii and bring value to the people that are here and bring more value and more Hawaiian ethos to the world. Aloha, pono, ho'oponopono. These are things that I really think the world needs to hear and to know about. So, thanks everybody again for everything that you do. You are all beautiful in your own ways. Love you very much. Malama pono.